think one mistake they made is to let NGOs try and fit everything in 10 minutes. I think if your passion starts to speak, you tend to go over time, but I promise to be within my time limit. God has called me as a social worker. So many years ago, I got in at Tuks as a doctor. I got medical clearing. What's clearing? Approval, admission to go and study as a doctor. My dad's also a medical doctor. And I had an encounter with God. And God changed my direction from medical doctor to social work. And many people say, oh, shame, oh, it's stuff. But I can be honest with you, I'm so glad that I followed the call of God on my life to be a social worker, because that's what I have to do. And I'm passionate about it. My message to you today is really to say God can use ordinary people like myself to do extraordinary things. And just all that God needs is your obedience. And obedience moves you to do things. That's not always comfortable. I'm very comfortable in my Linwood house, but I drive to Mamelodi. And many of my friends ask me, is there streets in Mamelodi? Do you drive there with Vosipho? Do you drive there with your own car? Is it safe? Very similar to Salvekop. Gaan jy Salvekop toe? Wat gaan jy daar maak? And it's really, I think that's God's plan. Compassion is not a comfortable place. It's not a place where you do what you're comfortable with. It's actually exactly doing what you're not comfortable with. My message this morning, I woke up with one word. And the Lord gave me a picture of a heart and of hands. And we all gave our hearts to God. That's settled. But sometime in your life, you move from heart to hands. And that's probably the best place to be, to do something for somebody else. Where it's not about you, where it's not about your comfort, where it's not about what you want. And Funanani is that place for me. Today's message is not to say, please all come to Funanani. I want to challenge you. Do it for somebody. That somebody can be in Mamelodi, that somebody can be in Linwood, that somebody can be in Soshanguve. Wherever God sends you, please do it. And do it for somebody. Our organization, Funanani, stands for, Funanani is looking out for one another. We've been established by Lewende Woord. The Afrikaans congregation in 1998 said, we need to do something for other people. I think the whole Afrikaans Lewende Woord thought we lost it, to go to Mamelodi and to reach out in a community. I thank God that we were not held back by our comfort zone many years ago. We look after children, we care for their families, and in doing that, we change communities. Shortly, how do we do it? We've got 3 centers, one in Mamelodi, one in Soshanguve, and one in Brumeria at Lewende Woord. And we've got several programs. The first one is an early childhood development program. We look after young children that can't afford preschool, and we love and we care for them. We also have a pro bono legal program where attorneys give freely of their time in the community and to really serve people that can't afford it. Many women can't get a divorce because she can't afford it. And these lawyers are helping with that. Then we've got a computer center assisting people from the community to teach them computer skills. We've got a temporary safe care home where the social workers and the police bring children to a house where we love them and we care for them. We also have a primary school in Mamelodi, 2013. God spoke to us. And I think today, looking back, I would not have said yes if I knew the road that lied ahead of us. We started with 16 children. And I thought, Lord, did we miss you? 16 children, all of this for 16 children. And today we've got 176 children, 4 years later. and Christian education. We teach them about God, and we really empower them with English on a level that can make you proud. Then we've got a family support program for all the children in our programs. We really help the families as well. Not just with handouts, we really teach them skills, sometimes financial skills, parenting, how to be a good parent to your child. Grandmothers, we look after them. Then lastly, we've got a youth development program where we look after young people who finish matric but they can't find somewhere to go. So we assist them with soft skills like a gap year, and we really help them to find their way in life according to God's plan for them, like a gap year. Then lastly, that's just our model. We do it on a psychosocial level, spiritual level, physical, everything. I want to end off with a story of a young girl. We can call her Andile. She was in our school, grade 2, in 2013, and she really battled academically. Teachers were saying, we don't know what to do with Andile, and we had a lady that said she can come to her for assessment. So firstly, a lady volunteered her skills to say, I'll look after this girl. Let's see, maybe it's a educational challenge that we can solve. The lady looked at her and she said, but she's bright. This girl is so bright. Maybe it's the eyes. Maybe we need to look at the eyes. So Almin found her. If I have an optometrist as a friend, that's the first one you phone. And I phoned the friend and I said, Bernard, do you have maybe some time to see Andile? He said, please, you bring her, Moreleta Park, you can just bring her. He helped her and she needed glasses. This young girl is today our top learner in the school, grade 6, and it was glasses. Now, every time I speak to Bernard, he says to me, it's just glasses. It's not just glasses. Those glasses changed that little girl's life. And that's my message to you. God just needs your skills, and you give it back to God. He will send you the Andiles to say, do it for one. Many people ask me, how do I sleep at night of everything that we see and all the heartache and all the poverty? And then I've got a very solid answer. I sleep very well at night because I'm doing something. I'm doing something for every child that God places in front of me. If you're not doing something, you're the one that will not be sleeping at night. So I really want to challenge you. Please be obedient to what God is saying to you. And even if it's outside of your comfort. You've got all the detail on your table, our contact details. Yeah, and our heart is just to embrace children and changing communities by doing so. When I started with Funanoni years ago, we were very much focused on statistics. In the non-profit world, statistics is everything. How many children, how many this and how many that. And one morning I woke up and I said, God, statistics is not my thing. I don't like the statistics. And I really abandoned all numbers. And I just said, Lord, whatever we can do for one. And in the process, we've changed hundreds of lives. But it's not about the numbers, it's about the one. Thank you, Rowan.
Good afternoon. It's a great pleasure to be here this afternoon and speak to you. I was sitting there and thinking how wonderful it is to be amongst Christians. I travel many places around the world, and FIBA, Far East Broadcasting Association, preaches the gospel in 50 countries around the world, and we focus on the unreached peoples. So in the places that we go to, there are very few Christians. And so it's so wonderful to come back home to South Africa always and to be amongst Christians and to have fellowship like this afternoon here. So FEBA, which is part of FEBC, Far East Broadcasting Company, started 72 years ago, just after the Second World War in 1945. And it was started by two American soldiers that were in the East. And they saw that the people don't know Jesus. And they thought, what can we do about this? And they thought, well, the only way to reach these masses would be the media. And so we are a Christian media organization. And we use various different kinds of media. And the good news is that God has allowed mission work to become orders of magnitude easier because of the media and technology explosion that we have today. We have so many different technologies that we can use, and these are just a few. These are a bit primitive, but it works. It's a radio that works with a solar panel and a winder. So we distribute thousands of these around the world every year. We have solar radios, fixed frequency radios that only picks up FEBC's broadcasts. We broadcast 3,000 hours every 24 hours around the world. In 50 countries, 130 languages, ethnic languages. So it's a huge ministry. So all sorts of different technologies. This plugs into your cell phone, and you can put on 400 hours of broadcasts on this little thing. It plugs into your cell phone where you charge your Android phone, and you can listen. So this works well in closed countries where we work a lot, like in Nepal, Myanmar, Vietnam. And people can listen to what's on this without taking the risk of putting an SD card into the cell phone. Because if someone takes the phone, they can listen or hear that this guy was listening to Christian broadcasts, which is unlawful. So this, they just pull out and keep it in their hands, and no one knows that they were listening to this. We have technologies like this that utilizes SD cards as well, and we found that typically to a device like this or a radio, in the countries that we work, which are the more poor countries, closed countries, about 25 people on average listen to one of these in the rural areas, in the villages. So huge impact. We have a potential audience of 2.2 billion people every day. We cover 2/3 of the world's surface with these broadcasts. So it's a very vast and expanded mission that we have. So why do we do it? Matthew 28 is the Great Commission. Well known, Acts 1 verse 8, Jesus says, you'll be my witnesses in Jerusalem, etc., to the ends of the world. And that's where FEBC works, at the ends of the world. So we don't even work in South Africa. We don't even work in Central and Southern Africa, because that's predominantly Christian. We work in North Africa, the Middle East, and then in Asia. That's where we focus. For us in South Africa, we have a special motivation from Jesus in Matthew 24, where he says, they ask him about the end times. When will the end come? He says, the gospel shall be preached in the whole world for testimony unto all nations, and then shall the end come. So we like to think that we are involved in hastening the coming of Jesus. We don't want to be arrogant. We cannot be, and we don't think we can do much more. But that is it. You know, that motivates us. Lord, we want to reach one more unreached tribe. Nations, in Greek ethnoi, ethnic groups. Testimony unto all the ethnoi, all the tribes. So we seek out in Africa. Like I said, we work in the 1040 window, where 3 billion people live, which are mostly unreached. And the shocking thing is that only 1% of the international church's mission budget go to that area, and even less missionaries than 1% go to that area, because it's closed. Those countries are closed. They're very dangerous to go to. I go to many of those countries, but many of them I don't. I cannot go there because it's too dangerous. So that's where we focus, where FEBC focus the mission. We work in places like Malawi. The good news is, if I drew a line through Africa, through northern Nigeria like that, everything south of that line is predominantly Christian in Africa. So that there are strong churches in all those countries. We focus on 5% and less Christians in a country, then we work there. The challenge in Africa is the northern part, above that line. That's where we focus in Africa. So we work, for instance, in Malawi, because there are unreached groups in Malawi. We work in Mozambique because there are unreached groups in Mozambique, and then also in Mali. Now, just to go quickly through it, I don't have much time. Those are just listener clubs in Mali, in the rural areas. Amos, our director in Malawi, is baptizing believers, Muslim believers. We work with the Yao Muslim people, evangelizing them, and he baptizes about 60 of them per month, every month in Malawi. So God is doing great things. We also work in Mozambique, just next to Malawi, because there are 4 unreached people groups there, Mkonda, Mwane, etc., that we reach out to. We have a station in the northeastern part of Mozambique. I'm on my way there now, just in a week or 2. Radio Nuru is our station there. Please pray for them. They reach out to 4 unreached Islamic animistic people groups there. Great work that they do. We also work, like I said, in Mali. And that's the last story I'm going to tell you, because our time is very limited. I found a guy in Mali. He lives about there in Mali. Mali is a strange sort of looking country. And this guy, Mbimba Dembele, don't try to remember the name. He lives in Diideni, which is about in the middle there, just above Kulikoro. Listen to this guy. He was brought up a Muslim. And he married a Muslim woman of high standing in Mali. 2 South Africans, a couple, went to Mali to work for the Malawian electricity supplier, which is Eskom, by the way. This man, Mbimba Dembele, was this South African engineer's translator. So this man he just witnessed to him, to Mbimba. In the end, he gave him a Bible, and Mbimba started to read the Bible. He's a very intelligent guy. He's got a master's degree in communication and stuff like that. So very intelligent. So long story short, he becomes a Christian. Also his wife and his children. That's the way it works in the Muslim community. But they really are Christians and really devoted. And they endure, to this day, which is 13 years ago, they endure persecution, ostracization from the rest of the family. They are excluded. They are really persecuted on a daily basis because his wife is from this high-standing Muslim family. So Mbimba thinks to himself, how can I reach the people in my area? Because I didn't know about Jesus and they don't either. How can I reach them? So he thinks in his simplicity, I'm going to start a radio station. He doesn't know the first thing about the radio station, but this South African couple helps him to buy low-powered, weak FM transmitter, puts up a primitive mast, and he starts to broadcast. This one man. He employs 6 people from his own pocket, his own salary that he gets from this hydroelectric station. He pays them every month for 13 years. Later on, he even builds a Christian school. Now, this area is totally Muslim. He's surrounded by Muslims that don't know Jesus. But they send their children to his Christian school because it's the best school in the area. And they listen to the broadcasts in French and in English, in Bambara, Maninka, and 4 or 5 other local languages in Mali spoken. And within 13 years, this whole area from this low, weak-powered FM station changes. And there are 2 churches now where there were nothing. There are pastors being trained. There are many believers in those churches. From one man. And I want you to understand, this man, compared to you and me, he hasn't got any resources. He hasn't got money. But with the little he has, he pays 6 or 7 people. He builds a Christian school with teachers, and he changes the whole place. That's the power of the one person, but that's the power of media that I want to leave with you. So we got a license in Mali just now, and Mbimba said we need a strong. So I met up with Mbimba. He said, can you help us to start a strong Christian powerful Christian station that can reach a huge part of Mali. And that's what we do. So we partnered with him. We got our license just now, mid-February this year. And the government said, they not only gave us a license to start a station, which will be there, they gave us a license to have 5 extra relay stations. So the practical reality is that by the end of this year, we are going to reach this whole area of Mali with the gospel of Jesus. So if that one low-powered station changed that area, just there, now we can change this entire area and evangelize that whole area of Mali. So we work, like I said, in 50 countries, and I cannot even name them all. We don't have time. China and all those places. But I want you to pray for us. Thank you for this opportunity. And if you want more information, please contact me, Elise. Just raise your hand, Elise, please. She has a table outside with information. Go get the brochure if you want, and you'll read amazing stuff. Go to fibaradio.co.za. You can see videos of people all around the world, from nations that you've just heard of, testifying how they met Jesus through FEBC's broadcasts. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm just here to speak. When Marinda said you have 10 minutes to speak about PEN, I said you might as well just tell them to cancel, because 10 minutes is not going to cover anything, but we will try. So PEN has been in the city since 1992. We're celebrating 25 years of grace. Grace because most of the things that we've gone through, we actually didn't think we'd make it through. I think a practical one that is a good reflection of good leadership was the 2008 recession that we all experienced. You come after that one, and then you really know, when you look back, that you see the grace of God. So PEN and its journey has evolved into what the city needs. I think initially, I've been with PEN for the past 5 years. So for other people who've been there for the last 25 years, would tell a different story. Even the ones who left, when we explained to them what PEN is like now, they don't even understand. That's not what we started. That's not what the vision was. The vision has always been driven by what the city wanted, by what the city needs. And it got to a point where we just had to sit down and decide what our bigger objectives are, or our bigger goals are. And the one that I usually just talk about, because it's the simplest one that I think we all have, is just to move people out of poverty. No, yes? It sounds quite common, or quite easy, or I don't know how to explain it. Let's move people out of poverty. And Pop-Up is here in Salvakop. I have had few projects in Salvakop. I know how Salvakop is. And you come up here and say, let's take people out of poverty. But how are you going to take people out of poverty if it's just something that sounds so simple? Just unfortunately, we can't win the lotto and just give everyone an investment. It's not going to work. We can't use the 208 from Kandla just to give everyone a bit of a share. That is also not going to be sustainable. We can't take all the money that they said have been spent on corruption and try and split it, and it's still going to catch up with us. It's still not going to be sustainable. So we need to come up with ways that will be sustainable for the person that we say we're taking them out of poverty. Now, as PEN, if we say that, what exactly are we saying? But what are we getting ourselves into here? Isn't it better when we just took PEN primary school kids when Penn started, and we raised up funds, put them in a bus, show them the wonderful time of their lives, take them to Durban. They have never seen the sea, and they would have a wonderful experience. And I can come back here and explain to you how wonderful it was, how we had a wonderful session, of which it's still wonderful, but it hasn't done anything for that child that we took to Durban and the parent and where we took them from. We have not taken that family or that child out of poverty. For that week in Durban, he probably had the best meals that we prepared, because we would make braai, we would make whatever we can come up with, the most wonderful dishes that we can come up with just to accommodate the camp. I would come up here and tell you how wonderful this program would be and ask you for money just to finance that. And it would be wonderful. It would have a wonderful meaning to that child. But in a long term, I have not really moved anyone out of poverty. Now, there's few things that we picked up from there. Within some of the, I'll tell you about 1 or 2 projects that we work with. So we've aligned this with 4 pillars that we feel very strong about, that if we get these pillars right, we will journey with you and we will take you out of poverty. But how can we do that if we just meet up with someone from the street? What exactly is it that we're looking at or that we're looking for that we say we can help you with? One of the projects we have, we call it the Outreach Project. It's in Sunnyside on Kwana Foss Street, just where Foss ends. It makes a loop there. It's a homeless shelter that it has been available for a while. The guys on the streets know about it. Right now, the guys who know about it would tell you that I can pay 10 rand and put my important documents here in this lock it, and it's safe. I can come here and take a shower and get myself ready so I can face whatever I need to face, be it interviews or anything. I can come here and Kata will help me with the CV that I need to do. That has become their hub. So if a person like that comes in, we want to look at their physical well-being. We want to look at how emotional they are, if they are, because there's no point of saying they are physically strong and not try to tap into if they are ready to face. What if we have taken them back to the same thing that brought them in the street? Then we are not really helping them. We are setting them up for failure. Are they well skilled enough? Have they had enough skills for what we want to do? Am I just going to offer them a security job that will give them 3,500 rand per month? Have I really solved the problem? So we look at their skills and then we try to connect them with the opportunities as far as we can. Now, these are the pillars that we look into: the physical well-being, the emotional whole of a person, the skills, and connect them to the opportunities. We strongly believe that this will help alleviate poverty 1% at a time. And we target it not only with the outreach shelter, we target it with the preschools by sending a social worker there. You've started already there to make sure that the career assessment with the young ones, that's where it starts. That's like an entry point for us. We make sure from there that we are getting them while they're still young. If they have problems, we need to solve them then. We're not going to wait for 12 years later when they're in matric. The orphaned and vulnerable children, they come with a lot of dynamics. And the homeless men, like the example that I mentioned, and a homeless woman. And then out of all of these things, the service that we would give is the clinic, social care, support them to get a job, and try to help them to get work experience. I have mentioned a little bit of what PEN does, not the whole of what PEN does. Because for me, it is one of the projects that drives me crazy at some point, because you pass by the robot, someone asks you money, you give them 3 rand. You actually make me personally mad when you do that. Too bad I can't stand there and say, don't. I wish I would just get a placard and go, don't give them 2 rand. Don't give them 2 rand. Because we're not helping the problem that we have. We've identified what the problem is. We are not doing anything to help that problem by just giving them the 2 rand or whatever amount of money. So, with outreach, that is one of the things that we feel. I want to use outreach and orphaned and vulnerable children as the 2 projects just to make my point. With outreach, you come in dirty or smelly, and if I sit in here, you might not say to me, I smell, but you will think it, and you will think of all the things that you want to say that you can't say to my face. If you put up a board that you need someone to do your garden work, and they come smelling, it's very unlikely that you'll call them again. So, our presence in that person's life starts with giving them an opportunity to be clean, and let them clean their clothes. Let them have a place where they can keep their important documents safe. Now that we've done that, what is the next thing that we're going to do? We'll probably assign that person to a social worker, just to quickly figure out where this person comes from or where this person is going. There's little opportunities within the organization itself that it's like you're creating jobs. But we don't want to say we're creating jobs because it's temporary. If we get you a job to be a security, the plan, your own IDP would be that you have to do this for 3 months, raise up 750 for a forklift license, and let's focus there because there's opportunity there. So you're not going to be a security for long because you have to figure out your own way that you do with the social worker through your own IDP, that you own up to it, to get out. We don't want you here. That's how we want you to get out. And when you get out, we feel that we have empowered you with a skill and with the necessary support, and you know where to come back for that. I hope that with this little story, I'm making sense. PEN has about 7 different themes that if each one of us come here and present our themes, I am quite confident that we do it with the passion that we put in the work that we do. Be it education, be it OVC, be it health, be it the whole support that it's provided to other legs of PEN. So the last one, sorry, I'm not sure if I still have some time. No, I don't. The last one that I wanted to mention is the OVC homes that we have. So you can imagine the biggest challenge that I just want to put out there is the government department is, we have to give provision to the children in South Africa. This is the South African services. But what does that say about those who are not South African? Are we going to ignore their presence, or are we going to ignore them being here? Unfortunately, we can't. If you do it, you are wrong. If you live it, I think we both know what Jesus would say to us about that. So we're trying our best to accommodate even the ones that we know we are, for lack of a better word, breaking the law by helping them. And we end up with a lot of troubles and problems because we helped you just because you are from a different country. And with that comes a lot of challenges that for the next speakers, if they use less of their time, I would be more than happy to tell you more about it. Thank you very much.
Yes, I can also talk and keep you busy for very long. And please go to my website. There's my card. You will find my website there and read about us and more about me too there. But I'm here to talk about my new life, the life that I am supposed to live here on earth. I've done 20 years of community work, and that you will read about in my website. But something happened in my life that changed my way of thinking completely and my way of living completely. I was a single mom for 7 years, and I raised 3 boys all by my own, all by my lonesome, without any support from anybody. And that was my biggest life lesson. But I didn't know what God had planned for me. So, and this is what happened. One very day, I was told by somebody in a cell church that I should go for a hormonal test. And I thought, okay, well, that's not nice. I never did that before. I never had money. I'm a single mom. I don't have money for doctors and things. So I went. And it happened that at the long end, the doctor looked at me, and he looked very sad, and he looked like he was, trying to say to me, something bad is going to happen to you, Julie. And I wasn't scared. I didn't know why it was going on like that. And then he took his finger on the scan and he said, Julie, and I'm very healthy. I'm a healthy person. I live a healthy life, always. For the rest of my life, I'm doing that. And he said to me, I'm so sorry, but you have breast cancer. And he pointed it out to me. And when I looked at it, I never ever got afraid of cancer. I got afraid when I looked at it, I saw my life. And I had a good life. But I knew that I wanted to change my life. I wanted to really enjoy my life, live life, and I want to give what I have. And I always tried doing that, and I know I did that. But at that moment, that very one moment in my life changed, because God said to me, look at your life. What is it that you want? So, long story short, and then it happened that I said treatments and things and so on. Today I'm here, I'm healed after 4 years. No cancer. No cancer in my body. By the grace of God. No chemo ever. By the grace of God, He healed my body and He healed my soul. So I sat down and I said, God, I've done so many things. It feels like it's my twin who did all of that. God, I'm not afraid. I know I'm going to live for long. And I know you want to use me. And I want you to really now, at this point of my life, give me that one thing that I know belonged to me. That's mine. So, when I was working in Polokwane with a 3-year contract with my husband, I married a husband when I was 40, and I'm 18 years married now. So, and then I was there, and I founded a first junior city council in Polokwane, like you have your junior city council here in Pretoria. And I did that for 3 years. And then somebody honored me with the Who I Am Makes a Difference blue ribbon ceremony on a PowerPoint presentation saying who you are makes a difference. And I was very interested. My heart ticked when I read about it. And then that one day when I said, God, give me that something, I remembered that I was honored as a difference maker. And I said, God, I want you to give me that one thing, guide me. You know what? You don't always know what you are doing. You try your best and you do your best. And life is like a ladder. You climb the ladder and God allows you to do things in life. So you can't stop and sit and wait. You have to keep on doing things. And then I discovered Difference Makers International, founded in California, 1983, by Hellis Bridges, Hellis Sparky Bridges. A 74-year-old lady. I call her young, never old. I was born in 59, and my dream is to be like Sparky one day, as she is today. She is changing lives at her age, and she really is a role model and a dream for me. So Difference Makers International, what it is all about is we spread the message of love. We teach humanity how to love. I remember when I went to church, one guy came to me and he said to me, it was a very intimate moment, and he said to me, God said to me, I must tell you that you are going to be the mother of love. And I never started this then. And when I founded this, the key word for Difference Makers International is love, spreading the love. Now, how are we going to do that? How are we going to do that? So I'm introducing John to you now, who is my youngest son. He's 30 years old, and he said I must not say his age, and I don't know why he doesn't want to say me to say that. He's not my baby. I won't say that very hard. I'll say it very softly. Very proud of him. Since his mom changed, and since she is really a disciple and radical for Christ, his life changed, and I can see him also following with me Jesus and really, really be like Jesus when he was on earth. So John, you're going to do something amazing now. I'm going to give the mic to you and you're going to speak. Does a mother ever do that?
Okay. Oh, thanks, Mom. I can't tell something else, Julie. I'm just going to explain to you guys what we do, and please excuse. Midrain had a water crisis last night, and I worked until very late, and I wanted to do the preparation that I wanted, but I didn't. So please excuse if I don't do it as great. Okay, just to introduce myself, yes, I'm John Barnard. I'm an entrepreneur, businessman, also currently working for Aces Water in Pretoria. The big W in Africa, clean water. I've got a passion for people, and for this reason, I was an intern over the summer at Difference Makers International, completing an accredited international training course. Difference Makers SA is a satellite of 12 countries doing this. It is an amazing organization that has taught me how to change the world in a minute or less. So how are we going to do this? You see this blue ribbon right here? It says, who I am makes a difference. And this tool, this amazing vehicle, is going to be how we are going to uplift humanity. We were discussing how to best illustrate and bring to the Ignite What's Right social movement. What I have learned is we go beyond the golden rule. The golden rule is, do unto others as you want to be done to you. If I'm correct, that's Luke 6, verse 31. And we wanted to see how we can make this world a better place. Now we're going to show you this cycle right here, and sometimes we as people get stuck in. It's a kind of paradox. We can start anywhere because it's a cycle in the circle. We're going to start right there. So let's imagine you treat others with no respect, dignity, and love. And what that does is it destroys the worth of others. So that person feels worthless, and they lose their self-esteem. And when that happens, that person feels he or she doesn't deserve respect, dignity, and love. And according to that golden rule, treat others as you feel you want to be treated. Treat others as you want to be treated. You can feel that others don't deserve respect, dignity, and love. And you have a negative outlook upon the world. And we act upon the golden rule. You treat others with no respect, dignity, and love. And that destroys the worth of others. And here we are in this negative circle, the negative paradigm. And what this tool right here does, the blue ribbon, does as a vehicle to bring to us a positive, proactive world, is instead of right here treating others with no respect, dignity, and love, we honor them. And we treat them with dignity, respect, and love, and telling them that who you are makes a difference. And what it does, it raises the worth of others. So someone, when they are told who you are makes a difference, you matter, I'm here to network with you, be there for you, that makes that person feel like he or she deserves, feel like who she is makes a difference, and they gain self-esteem. And when someone feels that he or she deserves respect, dignity, and love, they apply the golden rule. And they feel like the world deserves dignity, respect, and love. They have a positive outlook upon the world and act upon the golden rule and treat others with dignity, respect, and love. And the great vehicle to do this is honoring someone with a blue Who I Am Makes a Difference ribbon. And you can see how it goes in a circle and a circle. One person honors another person. That person honors two people. And we change the world. We uplift humanity. And we make a difference. And the best of all, we pay the love forward. Thank you.
John, we're not finished. I just want to say that this is a blue ribbon that we order from California. And 44 million of these blue ribbons already has been used in the world to tell people that who you are makes a difference. So can I have the honor, please? Ruan, you know what? I got to know you January this year when I was invited to an introduction of your courses during the year. And I thought, my goodness, this is fantastic. I told my husband, we live at Harties Dam. And I said to my husband, you know what, those people in Pretoria, they are great. You never discovered the people of Pretoria. You must go and see them. And this is how I felt. I felt welcomed. I felt as if I was in Jesus' home that day. So today, if everybody will allow me, please, I would love to honor Ruan. Can I? Yeah. Is that okay? I do believe that everybody that sits here today must get a blue ribbon. The ribbon says who you are makes a difference. And it is only to inspire you so that, and what we do is we show appreciation, we demonstrate appreciation, and then we give recognition to people who are difference makers. Am I doing okay? Thank you. Ruan. Amazing. I heard your story and I'm so thankful that I'm here because I was a single mom with 3 boys and I got the story. I got your story and I said, thank you, God. Thank you for what you did. Isn't he amazing? No. He is so amazing. Ruan, I have a gift here. This is... When you make use of this the blue ribbon, you become part of a global movement. South Africa is a satellite from 12 countries in the world who does this. All right? That's why me and John, we completed the training. We paid a whole lot of money that I saved. So we are qualified accredited trainers now to do the Standing Strong Together courses. But let me focus on the blue ribbon now. Ruan, this is a typical blue ribbon ceremony. In a minute or less, we do that. This blue ribbon says who you are makes a difference. And this is the second time I'm doing this now, isn't it? It was in your office, but here it is in front of everybody, and he deserves it. So, you know what? After listening again to you today, and you touched my heart, and you are changing my life, just because I know that I feel normal when I hear people like you talking. I feel like, oh, I'm normal, okay, nothing odd about me. So, Ruan, you're an amazing young man. You're the new generation. I'm proud of you, and I really want to inspire you to do more. May I put this blue ribbon on you to tell you that who you are makes a difference?
Thank you.
Good. And bing, go for your dreams. Great. Now this is how we pay the love forward. So Ruan, I'm going to give you this extra blue ribbon. You go now and you honor somebody else who really is making a difference for you in your life. Will you do that?
Right, I will.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Okay, pleasure. And every time... Just to end it off, every time you hear a bing, you know that somebody's dreams come true. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I know this is now becoming very late, so everybody is sinking in. Sinking deeper. I just want to say it's absolutely fantastic to hear what God is doing through all these fantastic organizations. Can we just give them a hand? From Arlene there at the back, Funanani, all the people, this fantastic radio station, this is what we need to really make a difference in our city. So thank you to everybody for your contribution. I had the opportunity to anoint the mayor on 18 September of last year. And on 12 October, the mayor basically gave me permission to table a city transformation strategy of 5 years in developing the city with a new mayor, the new speaker, the MMCs, members of mayoral council. And this became a very powerful event-driven kind of process. Not only did we do the first Christmas party in 24 years for street people at Bosman Street on the 24th of December, where you have on one side 400 street people and the other side the Speaker of the local government and the MMCs. That was exhilarating with packages and presents and so on. So that was very powerful. But also we had a prayer meeting. I don't know if you've seen, can I just see the hands of the people that saw the clip of the prayer meeting? This was a 2.5-hour prayer meeting inside of city chambers. And I'm sure it's a South African first. As far as I could gather, there wasn't such a prayer meeting ever in a council room where more than 150 pastors joined hands with MMCs, with council members, and prayed for 2.5 hours in spiritual warfare. 2.5 hours of prayer, 18 powerful prayers that was prayed against the spirit of Mujaji, against corruption, against the ails of our political world, against the social structures that is breaking down. And in the end, there was a contract signed between all the delegates that was there in bringing our city under the lordship of Jesus Christ. Can we give God a hand? Isn't that powerful? So, ladies and gentlemen, in your city, there is a minuted meeting where Jesus became the Lord and Governor of our capital city. Secondly, during that meeting, we partnered with Jerusalem, so there's an official relationship now between the mayor of Jerusalem and the mayor of Tshwane, and this is officiated and signed, and it's part of the minutes of our city council meeting. Isn't that powerful? So thank God also for that. So I'm going to run very quickly through the concept. There's basically 12 regional community offices. So what we're doing is we're looking at the footprint of the church with John Simon and the various leaders of the church, like Dr. Deo and Levende Woord and Hatfield and Dutch Reform, Moroleta, etc. All these leaders joined hands together and decided that the 400 churches is going to unite in one combined effort in order to set up 12 regional city gates. In Jerusalem, there was 12 gates with Nehemiah that need to be rebuilt. So this footprint of the 12 city gates will be replicated, and you'll see it in time to come. 12 regional Christian business chamber trusts is formed in these city gates, and we envisage between 300 and 500 business people in each gate, like the northern gate and the southern gate, in Centurion area, the western gate, the eastern gate, and so forth, CBD. Businesses will come together with community structures such as Pop-Up and Pen and all the various regions, areas and companies in those regions to join hands together. Community Transformation Task Team was formed on the 12th of October, and the mayor then requested that I would coordinate that task team with a 5-year city development plan, which has basically 4 legs. The first one is moral regeneration. Now, what we are doing here to a larger extent is in that area. Because the companies that's represented here are doing fantastic work in moral regeneration. I've been with the 12 major transformation leaders of the church in the city yesterday morning with a breakfast with a delegation from America. Fantastic work that's been done by the church in moral regeneration. We also are on the one the One City series for this month, where I believe you all have heard in the churches, we are the driving force as Crossing behind that process. So whenever you see these kind of projects, there is a team of people together with companies like Big in Africa that's taking hands to drive these projects towards a solution. Does it make sense? So thank you for a Big in Africa. Thank you for companies that's coming on board to say, but let's make all these beautiful organizations work. So Crossing in that sense is a platform and not so much a company. We want to embody the body of Christ and the organizations to take hands with the mayor in order to move in a certain direction. So local church involved, we are definitely focused on corporate companies to join hands in this effort. So I also want to ask today, there is pamphlets that Joshua is going to distribute, if you can just raise your hand. And to take one of these pamphlets, we want corporate companies to take hands in order for a youth leadership summit to be addressed in our city. So I just have time for that. My presentation time will be done by then. So a fantastic meeting took place where our Madam Speaker of our city called on all the churches in Tshwane to pray with her for the transformation of the city. Have you ever seen a speaker doing that? You know the speaker in Parliament saying, order in the house, please, you know that, all that rhetoric. Here you have somebody that is really loving the church. And Pastor John Simons, I see he's sitting there at the back. He was with me in that meeting when the TCLF was sharing with Madam Speaker in these powerful prayer sessions. And seeing what God is doing in our city to really bring about change. So thank you also for churches that is participating, like a Dr. Deo, like Dutch Reform Moraleta, like Levende Woord, and various churches that is taking hands. Yesterday I was at the Pentecostal Protestant church where the moderator is adopting a school, a complete school, to build a Christian school on their premises, and is more than willing that they can have the land free of charge. This is what we need in the kingdom of God. We need to alter our concept of what the kingdom is. Because for too long, it was almost like we are all in these little pockets and nobody can break out of their pocket. But what is concerning me the most is that the pop-ups and the various organizations must fend for themselves to a large extent in the marketing effort. Surely it's not only the task of the church to fund them. Surely it's the task of business to partner in saying, but we have a responsibility to back up these processes. And in that regard, when we had a meeting with Madam Speaker, I challenged her in asking a very difficult question. What do we do with the 200 schools, secondary schools in our city concerning the 16th of June Youth Day? And may we have a meeting where we can bring all these schools together and have 30 student representative council members of every school to come in and to join hands in order to create a 5-year city transformation model for youth leadership development. She was in tears. She opened a handbag. She took out an envelope. She says, Pastor, I don't know how you guys work, but you're always 2 steps ahead of me. She says, here is the program. I must roll out exactly that. I'm partnering with you. Go to the business community, go to the church community, and entice them so that we can train, listen very carefully, 6,000 youth leaders in our city on the 24th of June at a local church. Can we give God a hand? Isn't that powerful? So today, when I spoke to Ruan about this, we said, can't we partner with Begin Africa that is anchoring this event as a corporate company to join hands and say, but we are willing to also make a contribution towards this event. There will be 12 embassies, 6 from the continent of South Africa, ambassadors, 6 from the rest of the world. There will be a flag ceremony. We will have live tweets of all these thousands of young people live streamed on the screens. It's going to be a very powerful event. So I'm asking today if you would consider on the 3rd of June at Lewende Woord, we will have a volunteer coordination meeting, 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm just saying again, 3rd of June, 8 o'clock, a volunteer meeting. We entice the mayor and various role players of the city to be there, and we want you to join us that day, because various volunteers will come on board to help us to organize that event. You can imagine 6,000 young people is quite a lot. They're also going to create artwork in the theme, Tshwane, a smart city, ignite excellence. Can you see that? We're not dwelling on the past and what happened then when everybody shoot everybody else and there is this and that. Let's leave the past and move towards the future, because these young people need bursaries. They need to move into a destiny. And thank God for people like Begin Africa that already has put their muscle on the table to say we will even sponsor young people's studies in the future. I think that is awesome. So if you want to join us in this effort, Joshua is quickly going to hand out these forms. You can hand it in at Ruan at the end of the meeting. Can you just quickly raise your hand? We just want to give you a pamphlet from Begin Africa. Quickly, Joshua. Run, brother. You're still young and fit. Come, Nigerian. Come. Okay. When Joshua passes, just take a pamphlet there. Thank you. All right, so during this event, I just want to finish off by saying this. After the event, all these live streams will also go even into Europe, directly on television broadcast, but it will be available on Twitter, it will be available on Facebook. We will have various accounts, and this course is starting with youth leadership development over 5 years. Every single child will be tagged of the 6,000 to see their progress over the next 5 years. And you as corporate company can also adopt a few of these young people to be interns and bring them into the fold, learn them certain business skills. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you that we can join with you in this effort. Thank you, Ruan. God bless.
It's really an honor for me to welcome everyone here at our home place at Pop-Up. It's great to have you here and hearing a bit more about what after Gerrit shared at the beginning of the opening today about Pop-Up, but taking it a little bit further. And if we look at our process on uplifting and the transformation that we shared here in the video, and as you heard it, is that our vision is saying that we are transforming people, uplifted to impact their world. Now, the stories that we've heard today all focuses more or less on upliftment. But you've heard what Gerrit said, that Pop-Up was a shelter and for 4.5 years. And then I was asked to join Pop-Up in 2005. And it was a difficult process to start off by changing a shelter environment with open facilities to training rooms, getting equipment, having a lot of cash that you need. And that's where you need friends like yourselves and people supporting Pop-Up, volunteers who are coming in and supporting us. But if we looking at the end, is that we will we wanted to take away the focus of dependency that the shelter of home for homeless people create, but to change it to a situation where people are equipped and empowered, and moving on based on the fact that they are looking at holistically changed, focusing on the soul, spirit, and the body. It is not one area in a person's life that you are transforming. If you really want to transform a person in totality, you need all areas of the person's life to be transformed. And our core focus is then to change people on the basis of our vision and empower them through a Christian worldview. Because Pop-Up is purely also a Christian, biblical-based organization, and we're doing that through life skills. And I want to go back to the word life skills a little bit later on, and then quality skills training. And the video that you've looked at is a little bit old. At this stage, we have close to 30 programs, and we have 2 centers, also one in Soshanguve, apart from this one. And then we also have entrepreneurial development, job creation, and placement. So we do walk the path from the start, from a person coming into these gates of Pop-Up hopeless. They've lost hope, they don't have a future, they don't see a future. Many have tried to commit suicide, they don't have any confidence, they are disempowered. And what happens with this person, and we talked about moral regeneration, and this is exactly what happens with a person coming through the gates of Pop-Up. And we've heard it many times, but the specific learners sometimes said that no one at school, no one at home, or no one at church ever said to me that they love me. This is the first time that I've been unconditionally loved by a place who never know me. My background is not important, but just because you're looking through to me through the eyes of Jesus Christ, where I experience real love, and the person's life has been transformed. Now, when we talk about life skills, I just want to bring you into a picture what happened in 2005. The time when I arrived here in February 2005 as CEO at that stage, there were about 5 people, not one of them were permanently employed. Some of them worked for a food parcel in the shelter times, and we started very small, as any organization normally starts is very small. And it took me about 10 months to get to the place where we found the resources and the time to have proper telephone systems, data systems, classrooms, furniture, equipment, and everything you need to do training. Because you would know that the last people phased out of the shelter at that stage. Now, my predecessor at that stage, who took a part of the transformation part from the shelter to the point where I came, promised the Department of Social Development some exorbitant figures that people that we would be able to train, and also that we would put them in jobs. Now, I knew when I heard that that's really, really impossible to do that, because nothing was in place. No programs were even registered. Nothing was done. So at the end of December, I came to the point where I had to face the Director of Sustainable Livelihood of the Department of Social Development, and where they said to me, well, they want to know how many people did we train and how many people did we place in jobs. And I had to explain to him, to say, that it took 10 months to get the facilities ready. And I had to struggle through a lot of own things in my mind when I came to say, when you bring in unemployed people into a center, what will happen to the equipment? What will happen to the furniture and all the assets that you have? Will they steal it? What will happen with having both genders on the same premises? Will there be abuse? Will there be cross-relational problems? And all these kind of things that I thought, what would happen? Because I had no model that I could follow, and I really had to depend really strongly on God's direction in terms of what I'm going to do. And I said to this person that that you need to understand that we can't only take people and train them and put them in jobs. We need to find out exactly assess them in terms of their capabilities, their school literature, and the fact that how far did they follow in school. Put them in an area where you find an aptitude test that they can follow a skills program where they can meet specific targets and stay in a job. And then we need to work on their spiritual side and develop them, because these are broken people, people that have lost hope. How do you build on them unless you build into their lives first before you actually get them into an educational process? And he was listening to me, and he said to me, and I said, we're going to start with a skills training of a life skills program as well, because we need to change their attitudes and the choices that they're making, and also regenerate their morals and their values. And he was very angry when he looked at me, and he said to me, you know what, I'm not interested in how you want to change people's lives. I just want to know how many people did you train and how many people did you put into jobs. And we agreed in the end, because he was furious, that we will halve the figures that we agreed, or my predecessor agreed on, to say that we will train, and it was something like 1,000 people. It was absolutely impossible at that stage, to halve that and halve the people that we will be placing into jobs. And we had 3 months left, January to March. And I said to Mel, we are ready now to start implementing this program in January. And when March came, we actually exceeded the number of people that we've trained and placed in jobs, which is a real miracle. But what we did, because the chairman, my chairman went with me to this meeting, we decided at that stage that we will not apply for funding again from the Department of Social Development. We will rather see that we raise our own funding to make sure that we can do that, because we cannot work with people who do not understand the organisation wants to function on biblical principles. So we told them that. And then we continued, and coming the next financial year, starting in April, we continued with our programs. And on the first, or in May, that specific, in 2006, I got a delegation of 8 people from the Department of Social Development coming to me, unannounced, and they were sitting in our boardroom, and they were telling me, well, we are very impressed with Pop-Up and what you've achieved, and you've exceeded your targets, and with placement and with training, and we want you to reapply for funding. And I somehow, the Lord gave me a lot of guts first to say, you know what, I'm not interested in the fact if you're funding or you don't fund us, but we will not change the way that we're doing it, because we believe that's the right way to do it. And they said to me, we accept that you can do it and continue with your training on the basis that you do it. Well, in the next 2 years, on our certificate ceremonies, I've invited several times the department officials to pop up, and I saw them crying when they listened at the testimonies of people whose lives have been changed and transformed in that period. And surprisingly, 2 years after we started, I somehow got a call from a new director of sustainable livelihood, and he said to me, we want you to ask you, would you be able to train the other 55 organizations within this province on life skills training? And I said, yes, I think we would be able to do that, and it was 110 people. But they also said to me, and they paid for that. We had to develop a manual and so on, and they want to pay for it, and I said, yes, it's fine. And the 55 organizations came, but they said to me, please play it down. Don't do it so spiritually. We want to just get information about the life change and the morals and the values and things that need to change, but don't tell them too much about Jesus. So when the 55 organizations came and they sat in this hall, I said to them, well, we were asked by the Department of Social Development to give you the training, but don't do it as we do it. We need to play it down, because Jesus is our focus and he's the one who changes lives. We need to give you just the information without Jesus. And I said, well, I can just tell you that you won't have the same results if you do that like the department requested us to do it. And then they all said, but we want to do it like you do it. And we had a week of investment in 55 organizations to do it on the basis as we've done it here for a trial, with the results that the department have seen. And we were so excited by that, and can you believe it, when they initially rejected the fact that we want to do life skills and on the basis that we do it, it was written into the service level agreement of all the organizations since then to now that life skills is a compulsory program that every organization needs to do. So this is what makes me excited to know that we are transforming people's lives in a way that it's not on the surface. It is much, much deeper. Now, on the process of the on company benefits, and I want to just quickly mention that to our companies that are here. Pop-Up is a level 1 organization, 135% that a company will benefit from partnering with Pop-Up. But we can do on the 5 levels on the generic scorecard, we can focus on SED, socioeconomic development, enterprise supplier development, and then also skills training, which we don't only do internally, where we've got approximately 30 programs internally at 2 centers that we have, but also to the corporate sector, where we are now moving in since last year that Gerrit referred to Wilma earlier, where we can assist companies with programs. That's about 50 programs that we can do internally as a way of also raising money for Pop-Up. Now, Pop-Up is really an accountable, really an organization that is driven on incredible integrity, good governance and accountability, where we are working and receiving funding from listed companies. And we are really honored by the fact that God has opened doors and He has given favor over the years in this process where we actually moved into a new sector. But I want to start just a little bit of a personal journey that I want to share with you. In that period, in 2005, when I started raising and preparing for this phase, I had someone that's really a well-known prophet, a person who spoke into my life. He gave me in writing 2 prophecies, that every word of that prophecies and vision that he had about Pop-Up came true. So, and you measure basically the truth and the value of a true prophet on terms of, does it meet with the word of God? And secondly, is it actually in fulfillment? And in the beginning of this prophecy, I'm going just to give you an extract of the specific prophecy that he gave to me, and where he saw a vision where I was conversing with Jesus in a way that he, as he said in that specific part, where I saw my Heavenly Father, I was completely relaxed and comfortable in His presence. I was sitting on His lap, and we were talking about things of importance and so on. And then this following part followed on that process. And I want to read it to you, that just as a snip in the specific prophetic word of 2 pages. He says, I then saw Him take you up into the sky as the conversation became more on the lines of the things that cause Him great compassion. We're talking about compassion now. You looked down to the ground below the clouds, and He showed you rocks and stones in the fields. He showed you alleys and gutters in cities. He showed you pathways and rubbish bins in towns. And everywhere He showed you there were people, the destitute of the earth, the outcasts, those who were saddest of the sad, the least of the hopeless. And you saw them and reached out your hands as you wept. You turned to Him in complete devastation, and He took His thumbs and wiped the tears from your eyes. You then turned to look at the destitute again, but this time your eyes could see into their hearts, their thoughts, and their potential. You saw a great army of ruined soldiers lying incapacitated, yet desperately seeking the healer through almost no strength. And that was for me what Pop-Up was the fulfillment of what God was promising me in time to come that will happen. And this is, if I refer back to what we've done and how far we are now, 17 years later, I could truly see that God has really prepared me for a situation that needed to be developed in humbleness today, because I can only do it, and I know that I'm a channel that God works through, but you learn a lot through mistakes. You develop, and you come to a point where you realize God is really in control of your life, and He's the one who gives favor and opens doors for you. But I want to say, how can one ever express the value of one's soul that accepted Jesus Christ as their Savior in words? You see, it's a Jesus journey, because that's what it's all about. everything that we can say today that Pop-Up has achieved through God's grace was because of the fact that the foundation was laid in people's lives who changed, who was restored, who were transformed because of God's grace and giving them so much potential, understanding their potential, because you need to look to people through Jesus' eyes. You cannot have your own perceptions, and how often we judge people by what we see. If you look at Gift that came in earlier and what he shared, is that God had saw potential in that guy, where other people saw a failure, a person that maybe looked at mentally retarded. But the fact is that total transformation, a real heart's change of life, turned around and restored. And I've said it so many times, it's not behavior change or a behavioral change thing. It's not cognitive restructuring. It's where a mind, when you get into a situation and you are confronted with the same situation, that you go back to your default. But that you can go and know that this person, even after they left Pop-Up, that they will not change. And we've tested that with research, qualitative research, that people that left Pop-Up after they changed, and they didn't find a job necessarily, did they change their behavior in not reading a Bible or not praying? They continued in their faith, and that is when it's a heart change, when God changed your morals and your values and made a difference in your life. And the fact is, because of that, their human dignity is restored. They understand now suddenly that I'm seeing myself through God's eyes, God's identity in me. So people who can face now the world again, who can earn a living through life-changing experiences, equipped and empowered with skills, knowledge and restored human dignity obtained through Pop-Up. And if I think about the vision that God gave me, this is exactly what it has happened. Today we can say that 6,518 people, hopeless previously and disempowered previously, have been impacted through Pop-Up skills programs. Yeah, that's wonderful. And many of them went through our entrepreneurial programs. We started even 51 businesses in the time that they were registered as companies. And then in time to come, how many more will we achieve? Now, for me, this is always, when I was giving feedback to the board of directors, that's my punchline, how many people get to know Jesus Christ? Now, I know that our men said figures are not important, but for me it is. And you know what? From the 6,518 that were trained, 3,621 of them made a first-time commitment to accept Jesus Christ as their Saviour. And this is for 56% of those who came here who never received or never heard or committed their lives, never were in a church. Those that said that they were Christians, they was in a church and they're attending church, realized that they never had a relationship with Jesus Christ. Because you cannot say that that's not religion. You have to have a relationship with Jesus Christ to make sure that you stay on board. And the fact is that they are, we can substantiate that with written testimonies. Each one of those testimonies is a written testimony that we've kept. So we have proof of every one. And they are discipled right through the time that they are here because Life Skills is now 3 weeks and it's going on to 4 weeks. And it's a compulsory program that they all need to attend. But through the program that they are at Pop-Up, and depending on how long, 3 months or 6 months, they will be exposed to discipleship training, which we call CPR, or Continuous Personal Restoration, but it's discipleship training. Each one is given a Bible, and they are taught to live by the Word, on the basic absolutes of and the truth of the Word of God. So the success in terms of that and the outcome of the calling of people and of things that caused God great compassion, Jesus great compassion. Something that I've said it so many times in the past is that if Jesus was on earth today, you would many times find him at Pop-Up. Because that's what he came for hopeless, broken, destitute people that have given up on life. And nothing encourages us more as the true life-changing stories of restored and transformed lives. But this would not have happened without the support of thousands of supporters, people that invest in this organization, that share their hearts, as volunteers in funding and just supporting us in prayer, because prayer is the constant thing that we need. Because you can think about every one of us who testified today about our organization, how the devil hates what we do, and he will use every opportunity to attack us. But the fact is that we know that God is pulling us through in His wonderful graciousness. And what I shared with you keeps our passion and our calling alive and gives us hope for tomorrow and a few weeks. So I want to ask you that you will really consider sharing this with others, but also pray for us, because we need your prayers. I want to thank you for listening to me, and may God bless each and every one of you.